Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His
The Wigan Way podcast is brought to you by Cherry and White Pins, a local Wigan Warriors themed pin badge company with a variety of Wigan ranges. You can get free shipping on all orders when you use the code The Wigan Way, that's The Wigan Way, all in capitals, at checkout. Thanks to them for supporting the show.
So, a little bit of an extra episode. No Wigan Warriors men's first team game this week, but a couple of games to talk about around the country and pretty important. This week it's just me and you, Matty. No Lewis. He's unfortunately got some other commitments to deal with, but
Some work commitments, yeah.
he's not on holiday this time.
No, it's work commitments. It's exam time, isn't it, for all three of us? So
Yeah.
it's busy life
Yeah.
for the next couple of weeks.
A lot of things to do. Matty, how's your week been, mate?
It's been okay, yeah. It's not been too bad. It's weird not having a Warriors game to go to for the men's team. It's very, very unusual, that, but quite enjoyed it. You know, I'll talk a bit more about my emotions during the Challenge Cup final, and I quite enjoyed being the neutral for once in one of these big games.
It's a weird experience, isn't it, being a neutral of a big game?
Yeah.
Really, because normally, without being funny, you always want someone to win.
Yes.
So even when Leeds played Saints in the grand finals as kids, we wanted Leeds to win. We didn't want Saints to win.
This was just like the nuclear option, so we were genuine neutrals for the first time
Yeah.
in my entire life. I was the genuine neutral for a Challenge Cup final.
I don't think I could have picked a team that I wanted to win.
I could have picked one I wanted to lose, but that was both of them. That was the problem.
Yeah. Severe thunderstorms.
Yeah,
Have the game called off.
Whatever happened, there was,
Forever.
There was one set of supporters
That's the only solution for me.
that was disappointed. And it turned out to be Warrington.
Yeah.
Warrington's year to be disappointed again.
Okay. Should we get into that game then?
Yeah, before we do, I just want to actually say about Warrington. It was their fifth final in 10 years. Challenge Cup final, sorry.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
10 years. And in those 10 years, 8 different teams have won it. There's only 2 teams to win it twice. There was a Hull when they won back-to-back in 16-17 and Wigan in 22 and 24.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of all the teams that have won it. Catalan have gone there and won it. Hull KR have now done that.
Well, hang on. So I've given you 2. Castle and Hull KR, you said.
Yeah. Saints,
Yeah.
Leeds.
Yeah.
Have we said us?
Yeah. So you've got to get 2 more. The one who's been to 5 finals.
Oh, Warrington. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And I think I know which one you're missing. I think you're missing 2023.
Oh, Lee.
Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you got them all.
Do you think it's actually easier for a team to break into the trophies with the Challenge Cup
Yes.
compared to the grand final? Obviously, the record is still that there's only 4 teams.
100%. That's the reason why I think the record being only 4 teams. But also, the conditions weren't great here, but we always talk about the conditions for a grand final always seems to be terrible and it seems to suit certain types of rugby teams. I feel like the Cup usually doesn't have that. The Cup also has less weight to it than it used to do, unfortunately. And the grand final is obviously the main one, being the champions and all that.
That's like anything though, isn't it? That having that main trophy at the end. The Premier League is sort of took away a little bit from the FA Cup. You look at other sports, it's the same. That you have to have the top prize, the one that values more than any other, and it has now changed to the grand final and winning Super League.
Being the champions is the number one thing, and so I do think it's difficult for a team to do that. We've seen lots of different league leaders. We've not seen many different champions. You know what I mean? But I do think once you win the cup, that could be a springboard to win the league. I do think it's probably more likely that way around.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that every team that's had a real good go at it or is in a position to have a go at winning the league has won the Challenge Cup previously.
Yeah.
So Warrington had the spell where they were really in with a chance. Hull KR now they're thereabouts and have won it. Catalans won it, had a couple of grand finals.
Yeah, Hull FC.
Yeah. No one seemed to have managed to bridge that gap.
Not yet.
Really.
Not yet, but I'm sure someone will eventually. I don't think the monopoly of those 4 teams winning it, that's not going to last forever.
No, and unfortunately, obviously, Bradford are in the situation that they're in.
Yep.
So we're effectively talking about 3 teams.
That's not going to last forever.
No, not at all. Should we get into this game then?
Sure.
So, obviously, Saturday, weather not great.
No.
Um,
No, not a fantastic advert for free-flowing rugby. I put my teeth back in. But one for the purists.
yeah.
And I actually thought it was a weird game, but it was a really fun game.
That's what I said. I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, and I said it might not be the best final ever. But the fact that there was a few errors, the fact that it wasn't low scoring, it wasn't a runaway 30-odd 16.
There was a lot of good defence. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun game.
Yeah, and I think there was big moments as well, I think.
You know, in the 80 minutes, I don't know if you know this stat, but in the 80 minutes of this match, more than 70 were played between the 20 and the 20.
That tells me defence is on top.
Yeah, midfield battle, wasn't it? So I think Warrington had 6 minutes in good ball, is the phrase. That might be a pound in the jar.
Yeah.
Hull KR had 3 minutes
Rubbish
in
rugby
good
league
ball.
cliches.
Yeah, so they had 6 and 3 minutes in good ball territory.
When they were in good ball territory, did they play eyes up? Or?
Well, they didn't, clearly, because they only scored a try piece.
Yeah.
And they both came off.
Mistakes, really.
Well, mistakes and a bit of luck, but you create your own luck. And so sorry to be jumping ahead to the final moments here, but I'm always a firm believer. If you get a late try to win a game, you've deserved it.
Yeah, because you've smashed the door down all
You've
game.
been within a chance, and you've smashed the door down eventually. And I think that if that Hull KR deserved it, and there were no more deserving player than Tom Davis.
No. With that, we often do see a lot of teams score a try late, but they're 2 or 3 away and they've not been in it, and everyone goes, "Oh, the game's close." And really, it's not. It's flattered the scoreline. If you win with the last minute try, you've kept the game there. You've kept yourself in with an opportunity. Let's get into it. Hull KR, obviously, kicking a penalty.
Yeah.
25 minutes in, I think you've got to do it.
But it ended up being the difference, didn't it?
It ended up being the difference. And sometimes, if it's 0-0, you can get into we didn't take it earlier, 40 out, so why would we take it 35 out?
I'm always in the frame of mind, especially if it's 0-0, you take the 2.
Yeah.
And if it's good enough for Wayne Bennett, it's good enough for me. Supercoach takes 2 every time he gets an opportunity, within reason. It's 2 points at the end of the day. Are you going to say that you've got more than a third chance of scoring a try and converting it? Well, if you have 3 sets, it's not to get too mathematical at all, but you have 3 sets down on your opposition's line to score a try and convert it to make it worthwhile. Well, actually, how many sets did Hull KR? They only had 3 minutes in the whole game on Warrington's line, so it probably is worth taking 2 because points are clearly at a premium.
Yeah.
In finals, points are at a premium.
So 2-0. 26 minutes gone, and the game gets back into that arm wrestle.
Yeah. KR were dominating the arm wrestle
Yeah.
for a while. They were knocking on the door.
They were asking the questions, knocking on the door, but
They weren't getting close, but you could tell they were on top and they were kicking it from deep.
Did you get the feeling that I always get this. Obviously, where we sit at the DW, we're sideways. We're along the east stand.
East End, yeah.
And I always try and have a think about which way have I been facing more. And I've turned one way to watch a game more. And obviously, you're facing down. In this game, you're looking at Warrington's line a lot more.
Yeah, but they weren't really on the line. That's the thing. They were just they were in the half, I suppose you would say.
So that 20 to 30.
But I was thinking that's probably prime striking distance for Hull KR to put on a move.
Mm.
But obviously, with the conditions, it wasn't really suitable for nice slick handling or whatever.
I want to get into Warrington's try. We talk about big tries before half time.
Yeah.
Obviously, skipping past the try for a second, a massive kick from Mark Sneed from the touchline to make it 6 points to 2 going into half time, meaning that a penalty wouldn't level it up. Pressure kicks and he steps up. He ended up getting 31 of 37 Lance Todd votes.
Yeah. Well, he should have got them. He should have followed Bevan French and got 37 of 37. It should have been unanimous.
Yeah, I'm amazed that it wasn't. But he creates this try. Now, he creates it the set before with a deep kick that Burgess fumbles. Gives Warrington a repeat set near their own line. Gives Warrington a repeat set near Hull KR's line.
Yeah, he got a 6 again then while they were attacking. And then he put a kick in on the second tackle, which... Was it second tackle?
Yeah, it was second tackle after the
6 again.
6 again.
I thought it was weird. But if Mark Sneed's doing it, then I don't think it's weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Mark Sneed's deciding to put a kick in, it's probably the right choice.
Well, I was trying to watch it back, and obviously when you watch it live and you watch the replay that the video ref's seeing, you're sort of looking to see where the ball's bounced and how that's gone on. But when you watch it back, it does just seem to open up for him.
Yeah.
That channel line, and now I know it gets blocked and loops out to Thewlis, who scores.
Yeah.
But it opens up for him for that kick in behind.
But you make your own luck.
Yeah.
You make your own luck in this game. In any game, you make your own luck. And the fact that he was kicking into space meant it had to be blocked, meant it had to...
Go somewhere.
Yeah. John O'Shea's brother, I always describe, Rick O'Shea, always causes havoc in any sport.
That's poor, that. Rick O'Shea.
Rick O'Shea causes havoc in any sport. I was talking about him.
Sorry, I'm not letting that
I
go.
was talking about him on Sunday, the cricket. Rick O'Shea onto the stumps. And he causes havoc.
It's not often I'm lost for word, Matty. That's up there with some of the worst we've done on here.
Rick causes havoc every time he
Yeah.
gets involved in a game. And if you're kicking it into space, you're making sure Rick gets involved. And it ends up going out to the winger.
I also think it's the bravery of the kick. If he kicks it dead, he gets all the criticism in the world for conceding possession on the second tackle.
Yeah.
If someone drops on it, he gets criticised. In that big moment to take the brave
You had some
decision.
tackles left. Why are you kicking it?
Yeah. You have 50 seconds left. Don't take the risk. Play later on in the set. But to take that bravery, you get your rewards for it, in my opinion.
Oh, you do, yeah.
Obviously, it converts. It's 6-2 at half time.
Yep. Did you ever think this game was going to finish 6-2? Because I was convinced there was more points in it, even if it was a penalty. But the ref was, he was keeping it kind of free flowing in the second half.
I think it's tough. Obviously, you never know about a penalty and whatnot. I didn't think there was going to be 3 or 4 tries.
No,
I
yeah.
thought there was one.
I just thought there's always a try coming from one team. And all the way through, even when there was Mark Sneed kicked a 20-40 with 7 minutes left. That should be a huge momentum shift. And yet, it isn't. It's another bit of heartbreak for Warrington.
Yeah.
There are just a few minutes to go.
Before we get on to that, I just want to ask you something. Sam Burgess, last year, the same situation at half-time at Wembley in the Challenge Cup final, his team's losing 12 points to 2. They're now winning 6 points to 2 this year. How do you think that is for him? How do you think that situation is? Do you think there's a massive change in the changing rooms as such? Or do you think it's just...
For Warrington, for... what do you mean? For what?
For Burgess's conversation
Oh,
at
for his team
half-time?
talk. For his team talk. Well, the try being so late on will have changed his team talk a lot.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're going in thinking, oh, we can win this.
Yeah.
We're in front, we can win this. All we have to do is play safe.
Mm.
We can win this. And that can kill you, can't it? We've seen teams in the past. The most, one that springs to mind, obviously, as Wigan supporters, is the 2022 final when Huddersfield got the lead through the McGillivray try and then played it so safe for the whole rest of the match. And very similar to this, when Tom Davies scored on Saturday, I didn't realise how late it was, in the game, because I was engrossed. That's always a good sign when it's nearly the end of the match and you don't realise. So you think, oh, has that time gone? A bit like the Leeds 1-0 game at the start of the year. It's already full time. Well, I was thinking that. And when I think back to it, the Marshall try on that game against Huddersfield, I didn't realise how late it was in the game. So it was again 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I thought, we had still 6 or 7 minutes. And actually, you don't. And Warrington only had 2 minutes to respond after this. So I didn't realise, because I was so engrossed, how late on this actually happened. And how desperate it was as well, because it wasn't the last tackle. They had plenty of time left. And they're chucking the ball about, throwing offloads, coming left, coming right, putting a kick in behind. It's so unstructured.
But I think that there's an element of that needed. I'm a big critic of teams who wait to the last tackle, wait to the last minute to throw it around.
Yeah.
When you need a try. Why not do that 4 minutes earlier? Because you might get another go anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if you in a final, whatever.
Because the team that's winning is not going to take any risks.
No. So their set is going to take 50 minutes. They're going to carry it in safe. They're not going to risk running in and trying to flatten.
They'll boot it
defensive.
along. Yeah.
So you're going to get 2, maybe 3 chances. Take it while you've got it.
That's a good point.
So saying that, do you think Warrington went for it in the second half? Do you think they possibly fell into the same category as Huddersfield did in that final?
I thought Sneed's kicks were good. I did think he was good with his kicks. Do I think they went for it enough?
I'm not quite sure they went for that killer blow.
They didn't.
If they score, to me that's game over.
Yeah.
But 6-2, score get it to 10-2.
Yeah.
It's potentially game over, or it's desperation territory. Hull KR are going to plan X, Y, and Z. I think they possibly went a little bit too safe. Now, obviously, you've got to mention the Dufty injury. Dufty goes off and Ratchford plays at full-back.
Yes.
That possibly loses them some attacking confidence.
Well, it does. It really does.
But I do think they could have just gone for the kill. Gone for that next point.
With Dufty on, who knows? Would they have gone for the killer blow? With Ashton on the left wing, it's ifs and buts, isn't it?
Oh, it's all ifs and buts, and they have to deal with that situation better. I'm just saying, I don't think they're not known for winning games with great defence.
No, but they showed great defence in this one.
What I mean by that is when Wigan played Hull KR last year at 6-0 up. Before the Smith thing.
Yeah.
1 pointer.
But that was 2 scores. You see, when it was 7-0...
No, but even before that, Wigan were into shape, defend, let's not give early ball, let's not give mistakes.
Yeah.
And then they took it to 7. And that's another nail in the coffin.
But, we tried to score again.
Yeah.
Because we had one ruled out, didn't we? We had 2 ruled out, but yeah.
But
I know what you mean. Once it gets to 2 scores, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I think as long as it's 1 score, especially when it's not 6.
Yeah, it was only 4.
Because if it's 6 and you're playing safe and you get a chance, drop a goal.
Yeah.
Get back. But with it being 4, I saw somebody say, actually, it's the beautiful thing about rugby and any sport that goes up by more than 1, American football, rugby, struggling to think of any more right now. Aussie rules, I suppose. Hurling, does that go up by one?
Basketball to an extent.
Basketball, yeah. In football, you can go from losing to drawing or drawing to winning or whatever. You can go from losing the final to winning the final in a second.
Yeah.
And in this one, you go from losing to drawing to winning in about 50 seconds. Cool, that. And that my overriding emotion during that last few minutes was, thank goodness that didn't happen to us and it happened to Warrington. Which feels bad because,
Yeah.
they've been through the ring of those supporters. But it's that sort of suffering thing. It didn't happen to us. That would have been cruel, heartbreaking. And we've done it before. We've been on the receiving end of that before.
Yeah.
And we've been, the team that's won
Done
in
it to
the
other
last
teams.
second. Every team's like that, but it just made me think, I'm glad that wasn't us that happened to.
Yeah. Should we talk about the last try?
Yep.
It's the right decision. First of all, it's a try.
Ticket. Oh, the video ref.
The video ref, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant kicking in behind.
Sorry.
I don't think kicking in behind was the right decision, but it's proved to be because they ended up getting a result out of it.
Yeah. But actually, the decision itself, I mean...
Oh, the video ref
the
decision
try,
is correct, yeah.
There's been a lot of complaints around that.
Yeah.
Now, when you follow the rules, they are correct.
I want them to be correct. I want this to be correct. Not because I hate, Warrington, I want Hull KR to win or anything like that, but I just think when you see a player go for the swipe, miss it, fall on the ball accidentally, I don't think that should be diffused. It's not diffused, has it?
So I've been looking into the rules and I've had a discussion with a couple of people. The key point of it is with a defender, it has to be an intentional grounding. Because if you kick a ball in behind and a defender goes to pick it up, the moment he picks it off the floor, he's technically grounded it.
Yeah.
So with a defender, it has to be intentional. Otherwise, you would never get out of your own in goal. You just keep dribbling it in behind and...
Or if you were doing a diving catch, catch, you would be automatically grounding it.
Yeah. You wouldn't be able to actually pick the ball up and run and get yourself out of the in goal. So it has to be intentional. And because he swipes at the ball, his intention isn't to ground it, it's to knock it dead.
Yeah. I don't understand why it's 2025 and wingers are still swiping at the ball. I know he's not a winger, but wingers are still swiping at the ball. When was the year Francis Melly swiped at the ball and Leeds scored in the grand final? That was a long time ago.
8?
It was 7 or 8 or 9. It was down 5 in a row in it, so it's tough to remember which is which, especially if you're a Leeds supporter. But it's one of them.
One of them ones that Leeds won.
One of them ones that Leeds won. Francis Melly, fresh air McLeod it, and that Leeds scored. That should have been lesson learned for everyone. Every winger then, ever, should have gone, right, Melly did that, he messed it up, Leeds scored a try. From now on, I'm going to try and ground it, because the worst that could happen is I'd probably knock it dead.
Or just
ground it. Or boot it.
Yeah.
Or just slide tackle it, or just hit it with my body in some way.
Run at it, make yourself as big as you possibly can.
Get your backside in between.
And just hit something.
Just hit the ball so it's something. Don't go with... Your hands are one of the smallest parts of you. Use your big muscles that you train every single day at Warrington Gym. Just hit it with something else.
Yeah. I watch and go, how many times actually do we see kicks in behind where a defender and an attacker are both going for the ball and the guy trying to hit it to the floor, ground it, wins? Because you've got one clear thing, you're putting your hand on that ball and you're grabbing it and putting it down.
Yeah.
When you're doing all this, there's so much luck into it.
Just score an own try.
Yeah.
Bilko's been tweeting it for years. Score an own try. Boot it.
Yeah.
Slide tackle it. Like what I was talking about, Phil Tufnell when he was padding away Sean Wade. Shane Warne, use your crotch or use your...
Anything.
Use your hips. Just do something. Hip drop it. Drop kick it. I don't care. Just don't waft at it with your hands. How could we still not have learned the lesson?
No, not a clue. Not a clue at all. Now that obviously means Hull KR win. Big kick from Mikey Lewis.
Oh yeah, well we've not mentioned that was a tricky goal, wasn't it? And he's missed some easy ones in the past.
Well, he isn't a recognised goal kicker.
No, he's
a handy backup.
He's third choice, and you know what? I suppose
Is he
I'm
third
going
choice?
to answer my own question because Reece Martin's first choice, then Morg would be next, wouldn't he? But he's cup tied. So then I'm thinking, if Wigan had that and Kieran was out and Smith was out, but then I suppose Farriman would be playing instead of Smith, so we'd be all right. But I'm thinking, who would our third choice be?
I'm sure can't Eckersley kick as well.
I don't know. He's not kicked for the first team. Fields kicked for the first team. Just before we had, before Smith was playing.
Yeah, before he was really in the team.
It would be Farriman, wouldn't it? Because he'd come in.
Farriman would come in, yeah.
For Smith, so.
Or we just signed Chris Hankinson again.
We could sign Chris Hankinson, yeah. We could sign what was his name? He went to Hull KR, didn't he? Mantellato.
Yeah,
Sign him for his goal kicker.
definitely.
Who else was a good goal kicker? Jamie Foster.
Just sign a kicker.
He was a great goal kicker, but he was terrible. Winger.
That wraps up the final.
Yeah, well, yeah. Got to talk about Hull KR ending the 40 years drought.
You can't sing Champions Again, ole ole, when you've not been champions for 40 years. And actually, you're not champions. You've won the league. You've won the
I
cup.
liked it because it annoys people like you.
No,
It's doing it on purpose. It's definitely not on purpose.
just.
They must be doing it on purpose. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on that.
I really don't think they are. Just celebrate.
Do you not think they're doing it on purpose to make people annoyed?
No,
Life's too short to get wound up by that sort of thing.
I'm not wound up by it. I just think it's stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid, but then so are half the songs we sing. Bevan French's magic wears a magic hat. Well, that's just not true, is it?
Are you saying he's not magic?
Yeah, but he doesn't wear a hat to matches. so
if he did, it'd be magic. So, but fair play to him.
There's a song in the old Sean O'Loughlin song that isn't true either. There's something I wouldn't let Sean O'Loughlin do. I'm not going to say it on this podcast.
I know, I probably would.
That's because you're not married.
Yeah, true. But yeah, deserved the win. Better team. I go away from better team can lose.
Well, I do think Warrington were probably the better team. Edged it just because Max Snead was brilliant. But did they deserve to win? No.
Is that not a point of a better player? The best player isn't always on the best team.
No, but I do think the teams were fairly even and he elevated Warrington above. I don't think Hull KR were the better side, but I do think that they deserved the win, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they had no choice, but they were the ones that risked it. They were the ones that were on top near the end, and Warrington didn't really deserve it because they were never looking for the knockout blow, I suppose you could say. Mm. But I'm
trying to think at this point.
I do think they were quite even at that.
Did Warrington get another penalty to go?
No.
To 8-2?
No, they definitely would have taken it. They didn't.
They must have. They
didn't get any penalties.
That's what I mean. They must have not got one because you.
I thought Snead was going to drop a goal at one point, but then he kicked to the corner because he was set deep.
The risk is the 7 tackle set. Otherwise, I could imagine teams going for a 1-pointer there.
And then just get down and go for it again. They used to do that all the time. There's one game where Lee Breeze kicked 3 drop goals and they lost.
But the fact that now you give a 7 tackle set...
Greg used to do that, didn't he? Greg used to do that and go... I wish we'd have asked him that when we had him on.
Yeah.
You should just go down and go 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Like, first set of the game, you roll down the field and drop a goal, go 1-0 up. Mm. But it might work. You might win the game with a point. 7-6 or, 11-10.
I also think it's that. Oh, we're losing already.
Yeah. We're losing.
And then team touch ball.
And then other team scores. So you score then, so you make it 7-0. They score, they go, we scored and we're still not winning. Or we're still not drawing.
It's a psychological thing, but if that 7 tackle set wasn't there, I do think we'd get teams...
Go for it. If it's a close game like this.
Yes. I also want to mention this. They go for it a lot more in the NRL. Well, they go for the 2-point field goal. I know we don't have that.
If we had the 2-point field goal, Snead would have tried one, I bet you.
I bet he would have tried it. But I think they're also more prepared over there to give the 7 tackle set away, the 20 metre,
Yeah.
and back themselves defensively.
40 metres is a long way, though, to kick a drop goal.
Harry Smith's done it.
Yeah, but in desperation.
Yeah.
We usually see in desperation, don't we?
But what I mean is you've got to be prepared to defend it. And I wonder how many teams will be prepared to take that risk to go 6-0 up than just kick to the corner, put a safe kick in.
Yeah, obviously the math doesn't make sense to go up from 4 to 5 points. But if you've got a really reliable drop goal kicker and you think you can catch them by surprise, I think it does make sense. Because if you're pretty sure you're going to nail it,
If you get to 5 as well.
even if you just think you've got a 50-50 chance of nailing it, you've got 50-50 chance of getting 5 points up, getting the ball back, going down, then all of a sudden you can do it again.
I also think it would make you more chances later on. Because teams will see you start dropping
Fly
back to
out
go
the
to
line.
6
Yeah,
and fly
yeah,
out
yeah.
and all that side of it comes along. Now there was one more controversial moment in this game. Obviously, a couple of players have been cited by the RFL for head-high tackles, or I think one was a late tackle. But the big controversy around this game is Suasasu was charged with a grade E spitting, which would be, I think it's 6 games,
Someone got 6 games for it last year, yeah.
potentially more than.
Someone in the championship got 6 games for it last year.
And he's been charged with it, grade E. They took it to tribunal, and he's been found not guilty.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain the words were not. It wasn't
Directed at Josh Steelers.
at Josh Steelers. Now,
Steelers made the complaint, didn't he, to the referee, which is why it was put on report. And I actually think all that just dragged on for ages. In while it was the game, it was like a really crucial moment of the game, and it just dragged on for ages. It's not something you want to see.
the weird thing is you know he's not going to get sent off of it.
No, because it'd just be on report. Look at it on Monday.
Yeah. You know if someone spat at you. Or you can tell by someone's reaction. Or, sorry, I was just spitting on the floor and I didn't see you.
People spit. I know on a rugby field, people do spit, and you obviously need to. But when you're so up close with somebody, and you're looking directly at them, you're not turning into it. It's not like he was looking somewhere else, and then he all of a sudden turned and spat, and then he was just it.
And he was just there.
Just
That's what I mean.
That's obviously not what happened. You can tell he looks him up and down before he does it.
I just think, Felix, you know if someone's done it at you or if it's accidental. Because if you were somewhere close to spitting on someone, you'd go and immediately apologise and just say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I was just whatever."
Yeah.
But
When you're actually having an argument with someone and then you do it,
it doesn't look good, and I'm amazed that he's not.
No, I saw a few people say, "Oh, you could do whatever you want. Hit me with a high tackle, knock me out. I'd rather get my nose broken with a high tackle than being spit on." I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but it is disgusting, isn't it? It's an absolutely horrible, horrible thing to do. Even if it's accidental, you should feel terrible about that and apologise straight away. And he clearly didn't. So
I just don't get how the match review panel grades it at grade E.
well, they would have said, if it's deliberate, it's grade E. If it's accidental, it's no case to answer.
But clearly they must have seen something to charge him with it, because if they don't think he's done it deliberately, then they wouldn't charge him. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't get how they can say that it's a grade E,
Yeah.
and then the review panel say we're confident that it was accidental.
Yeah.
One of them's got it wrong.
No, because the match review panel have said if it's deliberate, it's grade E. So they've passed the book basically to the tribunal. They've not said one way or t'other.
No, I don't like that.
I'm just not sure about it all. It's just not a good look for the game, is it, on the showpiece event?
No, not at all.
Weird.
Right, I want to get into another game that was on Saturday.
Yep. 1895 Cup Final.
Yeah. All right, that wasn't where I was going.
No, because we want to keep the main event for the main event.
Okay.
Main event should go on last, which is where they went wrong. They got the order wrong for this.
Oh, right.
We're going to get it right. So 1895 Cup was next because that was the next most interesting.
Yeah.
And then the most interesting one goes last, like a true main event should.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Okay. So, the 1895 Cup final.
Yeah, it was York Knights versus Featherstone Rovers in a rematch of the 2021 final, which Featherstone won.
Oh. Seems like I'm
a huge fan of the 1895 Cup, man. This was a trialless match, one in Golden Point. I bet there's not many of those
No.
knocking around.
Trials match.
It was 4 apiece.
Wasn't the Wigan League game?
Yeah, the Wigan League game was one, yeah. It was 4 apiece with 2 penalty goals per side, and then a drop goal in the added time, shot by a winger. Why not? Pat Richards was a winger.
I feel like the days of wingers coming in for a drop goal has gone.
Yeah, well, the York
Because even when Tommy Makinson hit his in 2020,
Yeah.
he took that from very wide out, didn't it?
Yeah.
It seems to have gone now, and the book's been passed. But for that few years, probably up until like Luke Gale and O'Brien and Sneed started hitting them.
Yeah, like on a regular.
I just think there's something so iconic about
Just some random...
wingers. You don't need to practice. You just go and practice kicking. Yeah, you do your drop goals and your goal line dropouts and all that stuff. Right, let us play properly.
Well, would you believe that the iconic game winner against Bradford was Pat Richards' first drop goal of his career?
I did know that.
First of 5, I believe.
But a good win, and really good to see York winning though.
I'm chuffed for York. They brought 3,000, I think.
Yeah,
A decent following. People keep saying that York are this and that and the other, and they've got this amazing stadium, and the women's team's really competitive, and the men's team are doing okay in the league, and all this, but the fans aren't coming through the door. Well, 3,000 is decent to go to Wembley as a start. If them 3,000 are your core fans that go week in, week out to York, I mean, they've made the effort to go all the way to London. You can build from that there.
I've seen a lot of people saying that game needs to be taken away from Wembley, and I disagree with that.
Yeah.
That's such an experience. You've already got it for the day. Put as many games on as you want, though. I'm not saying it's a 4 or 5.
No, you wouldn't have time to celebrate in between.
Vegas being 4 games was a long day, but let them get there.
They're probably not going to give it. They're probably not going to have it as a weekend. That's the problem. If they had it as a weekend, maybe. But
yeah, it's a big win, and really happy.
Well done to York. I'm pleased for Mark Applegarth as well, York's coach.
Yeah, I forgot he was there
because we always felt, didn't we, on our first year of this podcast, that he'd been dealt a pretty bad hand, having to be Wakefield coach in 2023.
Here's Mark. Take the keys of this car that doesn't work,
and you have to play all the kids, and
then push us into the division below.
Here's a car that's going off.
Here's a car
that's going off the cliff, and then when it reaches the bottom of the cliff, it's going to drive back up. We all know it, but we're going to sack you when you're halfway down.
When you've broken all your bones.
We're not even going to put you out of your misery like Andy Lass got put out of his misery. We're going to just wait till the end of the season to sack you. So I do think he got a bit harshly done to it. Obviously, Darryl Pell was available and they had to get Darryl Pell. But
yeah.
I was pleased for Mark Applegarth. He got the silverware.
Featherstone sat in 8th.
Yeah, they've not had a brilliant start.
They're 3 points off Barrow in 6th. And then there's a few teams clumped around that.
Well, losing this in Golden Point will be a true hammer blow for Featherstone and their officials, their supporters as well. But they've still got ex-players taking to social media saying, "Pay me what I'm owed. I'm missing wages for such and such a month."
And there was a lot of talk about them not taking that many. That they'd sold officially 500, 600 tickets.
Sold as many as people were hoping. Perhaps. I mean, I know Sheffield brought a few. Because they were in our end last year.
Yeah,
Sheffield brought a few. Wakefield brought loads, as you would expect. As a Super League club that's down there. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing that, isn't it? And I wonder what we can do with the 1895 Cup. I suppose it kind of had a really hot start. Do you remember when it was like Lee versus Featherstone in 2022, and they both brought tons of fans to Tottenham, and Lee, I think Fev had Craig Hall on the wing. And there was definitely a gun halfback. They had that halfback from Australia that played for Toronto.
Yes.
Think off the top of my head, and Lee were rocking with Blake Ferguson on the wing and Lockie Lam and Ipape Asiata. You just felt like, whoa, these two teams could both be in Super League tomorrow and they'd be fine. And then that was like a sliding doors moment because Lee went on from then and just went absolutely catastrophically up. Well, they destroyed him in the second half. It was even in the first half. They just destroyed him in the second half. Then they shot straight up through the rest of the year.
Do you think that the reward of winning the 1895 Cup actually isn't worth it, really? If York struggle after this now, and we've mentioned a couple of times with the Challenge Cup that it can derail your season.
It can.
Mick McCarthy there.
Mick McCarthy impression for you there.
But you're right, it can derail your season and cause a few problems towards the back end. Do you think that's the same with the 1895 Cup? That
I don't know. I haven't seen that evidence because the last two winners of both. Wait.
2022 was Lee, 2020.
3, I believe. Well, you're putting me on the spot now with my amazing 1895 knowledge. I think it was Halifax, but don't quote me on that.
But then Wakefield.
But Wakefield did well.
Lee and Wakefield were two teams that were going to do well no matter what. It was the question of could they win the playoffs or would they mess up a game? Now, actually, these two, now, can it mess up your season? If York lose a couple of games now and fall outside of the playoffs.
So Bradford didn't win it. Halifax didn't win it. I think those are the teams who were up there. Toulouse are top, and I don't think they're in this competition. So it's not something they can do. So, well, you could say York. If York don't go on and win the playoffs now, is that a disappointment? Well, Toulouse are probably favourites to win the playoffs anyway.
I get
this
that.
is a good bit of silverware for York.
I just think if you were asking all them teams what would they rather win.
No, I know that, but then you can't start treating trophies like that. You can't start poo-pooing trophies because they're not the big. Otherwise, you just play for one trophy all year.
Definitely, I just think this has got to go for 10, 15 years. We've got to persevere with it to get the value behind winning it.
I think there's value behind winning it. I saw some York supporters lying in the streets by Millennium Bridge.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But we know in this country we've brought concepts in, ran them for 5 years,
and then bin them off,
and then gone, oh, I wish we'd carried on with that. Actually, we're going to have to persevere this for 10, 15 years before you get the history behind it and the want to win it. Does that make sense?
You think, well, people are going to grow up desperate to win the AB Sundex 1895 Cup?
I'm not saying desperate, but something they look forward to. Let's go and win that.
Maybe.
Yeah, let's get a good draw so we can win that.
Yeah, maybe. Let's go have a day out at Wembley.
And then it becomes more valuable to win it.
Maybe.
It becomes more respected, and actually both teams will start to bring more fans. I think it's a long-term thing rather than a...
I think right now it just depends what teams make the final.
That's what we're...
It's kind of a bit like that. Warrington and Hull KR being two well-supported teams.
Right. The most important game, the main event.
Yeah. Even if it was on first.
Yeah.
Just open the show.
Kick
off with us bang.
Set the standards.
I mean, someone had to score some tries.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
We scored more tries in about 5 minutes than the rest of the day combined. 2 tries in the middle game, none in the end.
That is actually, yeah.
Rainford High won the actual first game, by the way. Is it the Year 10 boys that was on first?
Yeah,
Rainford won that. There you go. That's just a bit of trivia.
Did they score more tries than
I don't know.
the rest of the
I
games?
don't know what score it was.
There's
usually a load of tries on those games because they've got a massive pitch. They're all in Year 10.
I love it. But we can win.
We do?
First, what was it I was reading? First Wigan Saints
At the new Wembley.
At the new Wembley. Obviously, iconic that women, that Wigan win that.
It broke the monopoly. Were Saints going for 5 Challenge Cups in a row?
It was 5, yeah.
Or were they going for 6? They got 4. They were going for 5 in a row. I think Wigan have taken some people by surprise this year.
Yeah,
We spoke about it last week, didn't we? I don't think everyone was ready for... Last year we were closer, and we were closer. We only just lost in the semi-finals of both competitions, and we were closer. I think maybe people were expecting us to close the gap a bit more.
Okay.
They weren't expecting us to do this, and I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Dennis Betts and his staff and to the women who've been taking the field, because they've clearly been dedicated and taking this seriously.
Yeah, I want to go one step further than that. It's a 42 points to 6 win, massive win.
Yeah.
But I think it comes back to a decision 5, 6, 7 years ago that when this was set up with Leonard Gunnar Danson and Chris Radlinski, of building a women's academy.
Yeah.
The developments at Orrell, which is going to be a part of Wigan Warriors.
Edge Lane.
Edge Lane, I couldn't think of the name of it then.
No, it's not Edge Lane.
It's the one at Orrell.
Edge Hall?
Edge Hall. The one at Orrell, the Warriors' old training ground.
Where we mean, yeah.
To be a centre of excellence for women's sports, that shows how much it's mattering.
Oh yeah, they definitely want to take it seriously.
And just got the page up.
Not being despondent when we've brought players through and they've been poached by other teams.
Yeah.
Some of the St Helens team there have been poached, but young players that we brought through, and not being disheartened and not being despondent with that, and continuing to develop our own players.
But you look at that side, it's such a young side, an energetic side. A lot of them come through the academy. They spent money on overseas players were necessary.
They're playing for each other though.
They're playing for they're playing for themselves. They love Dennis Betts. That Dennis Betts is a Super League head coach.
He's coached the Wigan Warriors men's team in Super League.
In Super League.
Yeah.
How long was he at Widnes for?
Quite a while.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't quote me on that again, but a length of time. Been successful. Knows how to set things up.
And again, we've got this theme that runs right through the club of respect and honesty and dedication and care and all this. The young half, Ro, who had a great game, was kicking the goals. And by all accounts, she's had a fantastic season, but by all accounts, she was struggling with the goal kicking. And she had 3 sessions with Adam Kieran. And kicked like a dream.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that would...
Did she take as long as I don't know?
No. I think she was taking 2 every time Adam took 1. But that sort of stuff just doesn't happen everywhere. And you've got this strand right through the club where it's just all connected. And it's unreal, that, isn't it? The reason we started this podcast was because there was 1 week where the men's team, the women's team, the wheelchair team, the reserves, the academy, I think the PDRL had played or something. There'd been a festival, whatever, with the PDRL.
Yeah, they'd had the game where they played Shorten games.
Yeah.
7 or 8 games.
But every team had won.
Yeah.
And the PDRL had played a festival, won a couple of games, whatever. But there was just no credit for that at all in the media. So someone has to give Wigan credit for doing all this extra work. So we're going to do it. So that's why this actually started. It was a game against... men's team played Huddersfield away.
Huddersfield. Sure. So we're making all them notes on the way back.
We just scraped past Huddersfield. Like, what?
Was that when we played all the kids and Matty Nicholson?
No, it was after that. That was the year before the podcast started.
Yeah, it was.
It was when French scored twice, and it was
playing that blue kit.
Jake Wardle and King had only just joined, and we just scraped past Huddersfield.
We put King onto the wing guard.
Yeah. It's when we just scraped past Huddersfield, then we just scraped past Salford. Now those 2 sentences back to back now sound absolutely ridiculous. And then we beat Leigh Saints and Warrington back to back. That was some starters of the podcast. That. But yeah, in terms of the women's team, they've come on leaps and bounds, and they've got to take lots and lots of credit. And tell you what, they deserve to do all the dancing they want now.
Yeah.
They deserve to make all the TikToks they want. They deserve to get Dennis Betts dancing.
Also, I think, is he now the first coach to win the first person to win the men's and the women's?
Well, they would have won the men's as a player, you mean?
That's what I mean, but
he did
to actually pick up both trophies.
I don't know. That's such a niche question.
And the only person I could think of is Matty Smith.
He definitely did it. He must have done. He was in a double winning
remember.
team. He was in a double winning team.
Yeah, but I can't remember if he...
He was Saints.
How long was
coach.
he head of Saints?
Yeah, for the four in a row, he would have been one of them at least.
Yeah, he must
at
have
least one of them he would have been in charge of. Yeah, Matty Smith would have done it before. I bet Matty Smith would have done it. Not with the same team like
No.
Dennis Betts.
But yeah, an incredible final.
Adam Cuthbertson. That's a rogue one. If Adam Cuthbertson's won both, that's got to be worth whatever 10 Wigan waypoints for me. I'll put myself on the leaderboard.
That might be a bullet under that.
I know he was coach of Leeds Rhinos women for a while, and I know he played for the men's team. He probably wouldn't either, but that would be unreal if he'd done that.
If you pulled that off the top of your head, I'm a bit shocked here.
Cuff ball.
My head's gone.
It might not be true. That's an absolute stab in the dark.
Yeah, I just want to say that. How exciting was it to watch this? And
The shapes were unbelievable.
yeah,
I said before, you can't put shapes on in bad weather. No one told these ladies.
exactly. And it's that formation.
I saw a lot of
everyone plays
comments.
the same.
The BBC homepage, usually when rugby league is mentioned, the comments are just an absolute cesspit. And the ones on here were, oh, this was brilliant. I'd watch women's rugby all the time if it was like this. This was brilliant. Well done, Wigan. Unbelievable performance. Speed, skill, power, all this. I think women's sport in general has obviously come on a lot in the last 10 or so years. We've seen women's cricket just absolutely... The standards in women's cricket has absolutely skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And it's good to see rugby leagues now following suit.
Yeah.
I think those two sports have got the potential to really do well.
I want to mention this because this is here. This could become a massive women's sport in the UK.
Well, we know that
the women's football gets
we know that
massive.
People want the women's sport, and they're pumping a lot of money into it and putting a lot of eyes on it. Why would that not be rugby league?
That's what I mean. I just think
Does it?
throw our game at it because women's football is massive.
It is, yeah.
And
women's cricket's massive. Women's tennis is massive.
And I just think
women's sport in general seems to be wherever you look now. It's
when you compare this team 5-6 years ago to today,
we've got to get England playing well though.
Yeah,
that's the thing for that. We've got to get England playing well.
Yeah, and was that our first game against Australia for 5-6 years for the women? Obviously in Vegas.
Yeah,
bit disappointing, but 2-3 years of this work and development.
Yeah,
and I don't think we're going to be a million miles away.
Well, you'd hope so. They're very strong though, aren't they? There's not many English players. There's a few English players in the NRLW, but I imagine there's going to be some more after this year because they're expanding. It's one to keep your eye on.
Yeah,
folks, one to keep your eye on.
Right, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back with some news.
Right, no eye catchers this week because we're a man down, and also because the news is absolutely peppered with NRL stories, and 3 of the games we want to talk about are in the news section. So my eye catchers are kind of covered in that news section. So go on then, Tom. What do you want to start with?
This is something that I feel really, really strongly about, and I've had many an argument with many people.
Super League minute limits.
That wasn't where I was going. But it's the knighthood, and Super League has now got its first.
Where else could we start with the first rugby league player to be knighted
130 years
for his services to rugby league, for his playing rugby league? Because we've had a rugby league coach knighted before.
Sir Billy Boston.
Yep.
Sir William John Boston.
Yeah.
It's just got a ring to it, first of all.
Well, yeah, it does, and it is well deserved.
And I can't think of anyone else who should have been first. First of all, this should have happened 10, 15 years ago.
For Billy.
Yeah, for Billy. I'm so glad it's happened for him.
Yeah, you could say Clive Sullivan, first black player to ever captain Great Britain in any sport. He had an MBE.
But Billy, born in Tiger Bay, just outside of Cardiff, made the move to Wigan as a young lad. A ridiculous amount of tries. But he made that move, not just to be a rugby league player, but to overcome racial prejudice, discrimination based on his social standing. Was never really given that opportunity in rugby union because of his skin colour and where he came from and not being the most well off. He was picked up by Wigan and Wigan gave him that opportunity, and he paid it back tenfold.
Yeah, he's got a statue of himself in Tiger Bay. He's got one in outside Wembley.
He's got one in Wigan.
He's got one in Wigan. That's 3 statues. That's, I think of people who've got a lot of statues. Julius Caesar, David from the Bible. He hasn't got one in Wigan.
Billy Boston has one in Wigan.
Billy Boston has one in Wigan. And, for a sports person to have a statue in 3 places, he's been impactful.
But the most tries by a British player ever
in rugby league,
in rugby league, 500. He was
the only British player to get 500 tries.
In rugby league, 91 clear of Martin Offiah.
Because Brian Bevan's not British.
He's from Australia.
Yeah, that's what we look, because we know he's got a lot.
Yeah, but he won every honour in the game, representing Great Britain on 31 occasions. 3 obviously statues, as you've already said, and he did this against all the adversity that he faced
early on in his career. Yeah, a fantastic. Code Breakers is the BBC television programme, isn't it? Not just about him, but about a few young Welsh black lads who changed over to rugby league, and it's well worth a watch. Telling the story of these players who went on to better themselves and kind of stick 2 fingers up to the establishment, which we quite like in the northwest of England. People who do that, especially people who make themselves a hero, and he is certainly a hero. I mean, talk to people who were involved at Wigan or who have been watching Wigan for a long time. They talk about Billy Boston just destroying people, scoring a try, and you'd look back down the wing and there'd be 4 or 5 bodies just strewn, prone, just trying to tackle him.
What's that story about him? Someone he'd run over him all day. He said, "Billy, I thought you had the best sidestep in rugby league," and he said, "Yeah, I do." He went, "Well, can you use it then and go around me instead of running over the top of me?"
That's a good story. Yeah, that's the impact that he had. Obviously, people still talk about his running and just destroying teams with his pace and his power.
Just want to mention it. Such a nice person as well.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him outside the grand final in 2010. Me and my brother walked over to him and just asked him for a picture. Could we borrow him for a second? And he spoke to us for like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
About who you watching or who do you want to win today? And it wasn't even like we were Wigan fans. He just wanted to talk to us, and he loved the game, and he loved being. He was just such a nice guy, is what I'm trying to get at. He's an icon. I've genuinely seen kids see him outside of Wigan games and go for a picture with him.
Yeah.
Rather than, and there's a couple of messages you'll see on Twitter if you have a look of why are you asking for a picture of me when Sam Tompkins is there or such and such somebody's there, and it's no, you're Billy Boston.
You are Billy Boston. The reason we go and sit in the Boston stand for the matches, we don't talk about the East Stand anymore. We talk about the Boston stand, the Sir Billy Boston stand.
Yeah.
Can we change that sign, please?
Yeah.
Chris, Mike, whoever else is in charge, can we change that sign, the Sir Billy Boston stand? Because we want to sit in the Sir Billy Boston stand. And do you know what? When he come up on the screen at Good Friday, was it Good Friday when he come up on the screen, everyone cheered him?
Yes.
And that was such a heartwarming moment, wasn't it? And you see the fans, all ages, cheering Billy.
Well, I'm just going to say, I put one of the tweets out. We've put a few tweets out based on this because we got a little bit silly and a little bit giddy. But there's pictures of him meeting the
King Charles
today.
He made a full par.
And how happy does he look? He just so happy, so grateful, and I'm in between happy and I nearly cried at one point today.
He really deserves it. I'm really pleased for him.
Yeah, and you know what? He may be he's in the conversation for the greatest ever Wigan players.
Certainly the greatest ever wingers. And this is hopefully there's more to come. I know there's a reason Kevin Sinfield isn't a Sir, because there is
there's the time.
There's a cooling down period, which makes perfect sense because you don't want to see people, paying to rise up through the ranks like that. But once that cooling off period is done, I would see no reason why Kevin Sinfield isn't knighted. presumably for his services to charity, but also to his services to rugby league. You know, he's
Well,
a great
they'll
servant.
both be in that together.
Yeah, he played a lot of years, he won a lot of trophies, he played for his country, captained his country. So I do think that he'll be the next. But then we've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of catching up to do for rugby league. Hasn't
Are
had.
we now level with sheep shearing? I'm sure I saw that they
Are
had.
we actually?
I'm sure I saw that
There's
they had
no way
one
someone's
now.
knighted for his services to sheep shearing.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, but we're now there. Keir Starmer came out and said it's a great injustice that
Yeah.
a northern heavy sport has been.
Well, you don't have to look too deeply into it to work out that that's the reason why there haven't been many or any knights that have been knighted specifically for playing rugby league before. There's been 3 rugby league themed knights before. One was for services to public office. One was for service in the army, who'd been a former Leeds player, and one for a coach who'd coached multiple different sports. So this is the first one who's generally been knighted because he has been exceptional at rugby league and is an exceptional person within the rugby league community. So
The code breakers.
well done to codebreaker Billy Boston, Sir Billy Boston.
I could listen to that all day.
Or we could go full cricket about it and have the Sir W.J. Boston stand. That's very cricket, that, isn't it?
That is very cricket, but
Yeah.
I also sort of like it.
The Sir W.J. Boston stand.
You know what? Our next home game, Huddersfield at home.
I heard it's going to be Billy Boston Appreciation Night. I've heard that.
If it's not,
We'll just make it.
I'm going to make it.
We'll just make it Billy
Yeah.
Boston.
And you know what? If it is, that DW needs to be sold out. There's no excuses.
Yeah.
It needs to be sold out.
Well, it won't because it's against Huddersfield.
I'll do what okay I've done.
Yeah.
So the away stand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As many people as you can to
But everybody who's
appreciate the great man.
ever heard of Billy Boston in the away end. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not?
Right. News.
Yeah.
Quite a lot gone on.
Mm.
We're going to start off with some slightly lower news. Some injuries, a little bit downer.
Yeah. We're going to come down after that.
And
Billy Boston talk.
I apologise, but it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Ollie Holmes was at Hull FC. He's retired due to injuries
he's
and
retired.
that whatnot. But Hull FC's injury
Mm.
run not great now. They've lost Will Price for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think Cust's back soon, though.
yeah,
So,
it depends.
It's not
though.
all doom and gloom.
St Helens injuries.
That is all doom and gloom.
Wellesby, was it 16 weeks?
16. Yeah.
Missing Felt still. Lewis Murphy.
Percival for 5 to 6.
Yeah, Lewis Murphy out for 8.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're
Conrad Hurrell.
missing all these outside backs, and they sent Conrad Hurrell on loan to Bradford. Who signed him for another 12 months? Got more clubs than Rory McIlroy, that boy. He's been
This season?
I know. He's been at every club in the Championship and one in League One.
Who was it in League One? It was
Swinton.
How good was that comment by his coach at Swinton?
Oh, no.
We're really glad to have this exciting young prospect, and Conrad brings us some experience.
I think they sent the lad on loan for Hull KR or something at the same time.
He basically just forgot that they'd signed him,
Oh, dear.
and now he's on loan at Bradford.
Yeah.
Oh, who'd have said last year St Helens partnership of Wonga Blake,
Oh, yeah, they can reunite.
and Conrad Hurrell are now going to be playing at Bradford.
Yeah, with the Ock. Does he still play for them?
Ockenball,
Franklin Pelley went home, didn't he?
after selling himself on
Was
Facebook.
he selling himself on
on
a Facebook marketplace for I need a new club?
Rugby league just can't be defeated.
Oh, dear.
It just can't. It loves it. Matt, I'm going to throw it to you. You've asked me to put this one on here.
Yeah.
You've given me no context about what this is going to be. You just asked me to write the 2 words Luke Yates.
Yeah, Luke Yates. I've got an interesting fact about Luke Yates I just wanted to share with you because if I don't share it, I'll go insane. Because I just can't believe this is true.
Have you fact checked it?
I fact checked it, yeah. I fact checked it. Luke Yates has been now on the receiving end in the last 5 years of. He's been on the losing side in 3 Challenge Cup finals. This one for Warrington, in 2022 for Huddersfield against Wigan, and for Salford against Leeds in 2020. I'm pretty sure. He lost that game by 1 point.
Yeah, that was the 17-16 in 2020.
Then he lost by 2 points in 2022 against us. And then he lost by 2 points again on Saturday. So he's lost by a total of 5 points, 3 finals. And one I've not even mentioned in that time went to extra time and was won by a drop goal anyway by Lockie Landers. So that's a lot of finals recently that's gone down right to the wire.
So he wasn't involved in 2024, was he?
No.
He hadn't signed for Warrington.
No, he hadn't signed for Warrington by then. I think it was because of the injury Lockie Fitzgibbon sustained in that match that meant they went out and got Luke Yates, I think.
So from 2020 onwards, there's actually been one final won by more than 10 points. We won by 10 last year. St Helens Castleford was 26-12.
Yeah, not involving Luke Yates, surprisingly. I mean, whoever's going to sign him next, you've made it to Wembley, but you've lost by a point or two.
Just sack him.
No, don't sack Luke Yates. I like him. In fact, I want to mention now that Luke Yates is the Monster Big Man of the Week, not sponsored by Monster in any way, shape or form.
Have you not sorted that yet?
No, I'm not.
Come on.
I've not sorted this sponsorship for us. If you want it to be the Relentless Big Man of the Week, I'm happy. I'm open to that. If it's the...
I'll speak to Relentless. Will you carry on?
What's the little rip-off version of Monster called?
Star.
It's called Colossus.
I don't know.
It's called Colossus.
I'm just going to name an object and hope for the best.
The Colossus Big... That sounds best, actually. If we're sponsored by Lidl's knockoff Monster, that sounds best. The Colossus Big Man of the Week. Yeah. That sounds cool.
Right. I'll get onto it. I'll write Aldi a letter.
Lidl
a letter, sorry. Get me supermarkets confused.
Yeah.
So yeah, why is Luke Yates?
Well, I just thought he had a great game. He had a brilliant game where he did a lot that might go unnoticed, a lot off the ball, a lot of hard work, stuff that we tend to give the Monster Big Man of the Week, not affiliated with Monster, to a player for doing.
Yeah, he's loves his work, loves his hard work, his tackling.
Yeah.
But he's made his name on.
Yeah, probably one of his better games for Warrington as well.
Definitely. Should I carry on?
Yes, please do.
A little bit of slightly related to Wigan. Kai Paul, ex-Wiganer, over in the NRL. He's out of contract at the end of the year. And he signed a contract with the West Tigers.
Yep.
He's going to go and play for Benji Marshall.
Yeah.
On an absolute truckload of money.
I assume so. So he's been available to talk to clubs since November the 1st, 2024, which seems like a long time.
It is,
to get KPP.
But that's the sort of style that we're going over here, so players have a little bit more control and job security and have longer to sort a contract out if they're not going to be kept by the current club.
Yeah. Well, you're risking that, though, because if he'd been injured in the first few games this season, and it's a long injury, you never know, do you? No, you never know. But he's been playing well. I mean, he had an awesome try assist at the weekend.
Phenomenal at the weekend.
Yeah, really good. And they came from behind to win in extra time, got booed off at half time, and then won in extra time, and the coach said, "You don't know ball."
Yeah, I don't think they were his exact words, but he did accuse his fans of not knowing the game of rugby league because they were booing him at 16-0 down.
You just can't do that, can you? If you're head coach of a rugby league team, you can't say, "You know, all you fans, you don't know anything about anything." You can't say that.
I know things aren't going well, but stop criticising me.
Yeah.
You know nothing.
You know nothing about nothing.
Oh, wow. Quality. Right.
That's rugby league heritage as well.
We've gone away from one player who signed a contract who is off contract at the end of this year. Another player who's off contract, but he's had a massive, massive milestone this week. Big Papa.
Oh, yes. I love this game. This game I watched in full and on the match replay, and it was just brilliant.
Big Papa's 319.
Yeah, Josh Papali'i, 319th game for the Canberra Raiders. He looked like it was his birthday and Christmas all in one go. He was so pleased. He overtook Jared Croker, his long-time teammate. If you remember him, he was a good player. And he overtook him to get 319th game for the Green Machine. It looked absolutely freezing See Ricky Stewart in that coat and his hat. He was wrapped up.
See little lad running onto the pitch and like
shaking. It must have been absolutely freezing. Wearing a 7-Eleven themed kit. He even was in the shape of a 7, like Hulk AR's.
Yeah.
But it was the exact green and the exact red that 7. If anyone's ever been to America, I think we've got some over here now. It does look like the 7-Eleven logo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For some reason, they were in a 7-Eleven kit. I thought I quite liked it.
Yeah.
Despite it made me think about 7-Eleven, but I quite liked it. Josh Papali'i, on his milestone, got 2 tries, 2 crashovers, and kicked a goal, which sent Ricky Stewart into absolute delirium.
Where's this guy been hidden? Because that is up there with some of the best kicks I've seen.
He stripes it
down right, and then just slightly to the right because he's going to bring it back.
Yeah.
Just slots it between the uprights.
And it took a while for the try to be confirmed, and you could see he was standing there nervously. Well, not nervously, because I'm not sure exactly how much he knows about the video referee system. So he's not nervous because same reason he's not cold, really. I just don't think he cares about anything apart from running it hard and scoring tries and tackling people. But he kicked the goal. Ricky Stewart was so delighted for him. Strange got a double. South were actually 12-0 up in this game.
Then the Raiders, they really came back into it and
just put the score on it. Yeah. Souths with their 1-7 made up entirely of Indigenous Australians, which I don't think has ever happened before. They had the young lad Munro, who's been out for a while, on the wing, come in late. I think because Campbell Graham was being rested or something. I don't know. But yeah, Jack Whiten was back. Latrell was at fullback. Cody Walker. Yeah, it's
Alex Johnson on the wing.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a good side, isn't it? Certainly on paper, but they're sitting mid-table, out of the playoff picture at the moment, but still, on the fringe. They were coming into this with exactly the same wins and losses.
Mm.
Now the Raiders are right near. Are they at the top? They're right near the top anyway. Or maybe they went top and then Bulldogs went back top after they won on the King's birthday. But they've got a lot of buys. I don't think they've had a buy yet, so they've still got 3 left. So they've got a nice run home for the second half of the season.
They're just a team to me. They've got,
to quote that one guy, second half of the season, they're going on a title charge. Remember him?
Yeah. I just look at them and go, they're not playing great. But they've got
Raiders.
Sorry. I was on about the Rabbits then.
Oh, the Rabbits, yeah, go
on.
Talk about Raiders next.
But they've got big game players.
They have, yeah. They have.
All through that team.
Latrell, when he wants to...
he can just win you a game.
Can win you a game, yeah.
So if Bennett gets them ticking at the right time, they're up there, in my opinion, as potentially challenging. The Raiders are playing so consistently good.
You see, he's got his new apprentice as well, Bennett. He's so Star Wars, this. He's got his new apprentice, Ben Hornby.
I had seen that, yeah. I forgot about that.
Like, Dimitri has been lost. I have a new apprentice. But he's lost Burgess.
Are you comparing him to Palpatine?
Well, I don't know. He just does seem to go through apprentices.
Every film.
Yeah, he gets a new apprentice every film. It feels like, anyway.
I want to talk about another team who took a big score this week. The first one ever in their history, 50-point win for the Dolphins.
Yep.
Christian Wolf there starting to work his magic because the start of the season was not great for the Finns.
Yeah. Christian Wolf, the rugby coach, not the main character from The Accountant movies franchise, is also called Christian Wolf.
Wow. But they lost 4 from the first 4.
That really took me out of that film, by the way. No, the head coach was Christian Wolf. The guy's name.
Did you not take it serious?
No, I couldn't take it serious. Thought I was going to do some training sessions in a minute.
You're making my head go here. They found some real form. They lost 6 of the first 9 games, but the last 2 weeks they put 44 points on the Bulldogs, who are sat top of the table, and they put 56 on St. George.
It's funny, isn't it? Like we all kind of have teams, the 3 of us. I know Lewis kind of likes Souths. You kind of like, Brisbane. I quite like Canberra. But if we were to pick a team that we all like the best, I think it would be the Finns.
I think it's the newness of them.
Yeah, it's the Herbie factor, the Hammer.
I love the Hammer.
Herbie, Hammer, Mark Nichols, Nicarima.
You know who I love? That young halfback, Katoa.
Yeah, he's really
He's
good.
a serious player.
He's a real player.
He's going
isn't
to be commanding $1 million.
Oh, and the rest. He's a real player, him. He's a real talent. Yeah, I just like him. And he's got a good partner as well with Nicarima. I mean, we were raving about Luke Metcalf earlier before we started recording.
Yeah, for the while.
NRL's in an unreal place for halfbacks at the minute. Young halves.
I tell you what, if you're a young halfback, get a blank piece of paper,
Yeah. The halfback money's going to go through the roof.
put it on a table and say, whoever writes the biggest number,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going there, then put
Yeah.
another 0 on it.
Yeah.
Because
Very much.
there's been a lot of older halfbacks. DCE, Reynolds, Johnson,
Yeah, you could put kind of Cody in that.
Yeah.
It's more of a 6, but you can kind of put Cody in that.
who Ben Hunt, who are now Kieran Foran,
Of course,
who are
yeah.
now actually sort of phasing out.
Yeah.
And there's been a worry that there's not been the replacements, and they're just starting to show themselves.
There's some good young halves at the minute in the NRL. It's really exciting.
Definitely. Brisbane, I've got a soft spot. I love them purely based on match. But how
Yeah.
nice was that kit? You talked about the Bunnies kit.
At the 7-11 one,
That all-black kit of Brisbane.
it looked exactly like the All Blacks, didn't it?
Yeah. I know what your annoyance was.
My
Three-
annoyance.
yeah.
That 3 of the players didn't wear black boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can get over that because they were the ones that do the kicking.
You got to have comfy boots on.
I can get away with that because they've got to have their regular boots for kicking.
I would make that my home kit right now because that just looks so good.
That's what I said in the World Cup last time. I saw the Wales all black kit. Thought, put a team in Cardiff, give them that kit all black. John Keir as coach, you've just gone to a winner. A million people would buy that kit.
There's something about it.
It's
and,
all black, just looks cool.
and they put points on. They've won 44 points to 14 against the.
The team run 17th in the ladder. Let's be real here. They've beaten Gold Coast.
I'd love to be
As you once said, you could get a team out at King Billy to beat them, and that is closed.
Could you imagine being in that changing room with Desi Hasler?
There's Hasler.
Oh, he would have been blowing up.
Yeah. Do you remember when he was coach at Manly, maybe, and he ripped that door off its hinges because he was so cross?
I remember watching one of his interviews where he was clearly in a mood with the league or whatever.
He was always in a mood. When he was Manly boss, he was always in a mood.
But he just talked like a whisper.
Oh, did he whisper?
And then kept turning away from the microphone. And you can just hear the reporter say, Des, can you just repeat that? And then he would deliberately go quieter. And I love it.
This is so niche now. You know that song That's in Queensland, where that guy does that parody song about all the places that are not in Queensland but players from there play for Queensland. He did one called Desi's Girl, which was a parody of Jesse's Girl, and it was just about Des Hasler blowing up on officials.
Yeah.
that's worth watching. That just type in Desi's Girl.
But
they're not very good at the minute, are they?
no,
They're not very good at the minute.
no, the cap is all wrong.
Yeah.
It's just spent all wrong.
It's not. I just wish you could start again. Like Perth Bears are just building a cap,
Yeah.
1 to 30.
If you want to know how to set up a club, don't do what the Titans are doing now.
No,
Spend £1 million a week on a front rower.
a week.
$1 million a year on Tino, and then spend 1.2 on a back rower that can play 12 minutes because he makes 14 carries and then he's knackered.
That yeah, that
You know what? Sorry, I'm going to say this while we're on about Desi Hasler. I love that he just signed Kieran Foran.
Yeah.
He's took him everywhere that he's been.
he's like Harry Redknapp with Nico Crancher and Peter Crouch.
Yeah. I've got a gig. Come on, let's go.
come
lad.
on,
Pack your bags.
Where is it, boss? Gold Coast. Brilliant. I'll be there. Where's your next gig? Keithley. Maybe not this time. I think I'll retire. Imagine Desi coaching Keithley, by the way. That's such a bizarre thing to do.
I just love that. I love that every coach must just have a player that they want to take with them somewhere. You know, and he's just done it.
Yeah.
Right. Couple more things before we finish this episode.
Big Mal. We want to talk about Big Mal being the new Perth Bears coach. Sam Burgess ran second in that particular competition, something he's quite good at in recent years. That's so harsh. I feel terrible. He just lost the final and he got buried. No, he came second in this one.
That's a proper low blow.
I know. I feel bad for the guy. Yeah, he said he doesn't regret applying. He doesn't regret going through the interview process. He's learned a lot and it's made him a better coach going through the interview process. Not sure if Matty Pete was doing that and just explicitly flirting with the NRL.
I also don't get how you can become a better coach.
He's just batting his eyes at every team in Australia there, saying, "Come and get me, boys. Please come and get me. I'm willing to move."
He's definitely sent a "you up" text to Wayne Bennett.
Bell Manley again, man.
There's a club being made in 8 years. Do you reckon they'll give me a job now?
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd like that if my coach was so openly flirting with the NRL, but I think that's the
Brad Arthur was doing the same.
Yeah, Brad Arthur was doing the same.
No.
I think that's just the circus you do when you sign up these guys as your head coach.
Yeah.
But Maguire never did that, even though it was so obvious that he was going. Maguire never really did that.
I think that's the professionalism behind it and the understanding, and it obviously came through a different setup than what them two have.
Yeah, it was just so obvious that Maguire was going to leave as soon as the first NRL club.
Justin Holbrook didn't do this.
No, the Holbrook's the same. Wolf, was he? I mean, the rumours were there, but I don't think he was really talking about it like
No, he
this.
said at the moment I was trying to do my job.
Yeah, I just think that's, and I guess it's cliche, but it's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
Whatever. He's not going to be in charge. Mal's going to be in
Who's
charge.
going to get sacked next in the NRL?
Mal also is mad because he was Australia coach. He's going to have to give that up before the Ashes, even though he really wanted the Ashes and he wanted the old-fashioned tour. And
Did you see the thing about his wages? So they offered him a contract, but it meant that he had to give up his gig with Fox, Australia, and the Raiders.
Oh yeah, I forgot he even worked for the Raiders.
But them three jobs together was going to pay him more than the contract he was offered. It was actually the lowest contract of any current NRL manager. It's a bit of a strange one for a legend like Mal.
Yeah.
Big name to set your franchise round. But yeah, it's pretty much done off there.
Seems to be a done deal, yeah. Perth have said it. NRL said it.
Another player who's just moved, Lockie Galvin. That Saga's thought was behind us.
I haven't spoken to him. I've never met him.
I hope you weren't doing Gus then.
That was just generic Australian.
Oh, right, okay. Signed for the Bulldogs.
If I was Gus, I would have said Bulldog.
The Bulldog. But
it's the newest Bulldog.
They brought him off the bench and said to the guy who's got them top of the table, You go in at 9.
Yeah, you got it 9, lad.
Torbit.
Reid Mooney was furious. You seen the backstage? It looked like something at the WWE. He got replaced. Sexton went in at 9, and he went on Galvin. And on the backstage camera, the tunnel cam and the dressing room camera, he's just furious, like destroying things. Like something at the WWE when somebody doesn't get the way, and they've got the camera on them and they're just so obviously acting up for the camera.
Point this camera at me while I kick this box.
Well, it's like watching some of our, some teammates get out, on Saturday and just launch everything. They've worn around the room. We would never do that, there's no point. But that just looked like what Reid Mooney was doing.
Yeah.
Because Galvin had come on and they put Toby Sexton at 9. It just doesn't make sense.
No, but there has been a complaint that the Bulldogs don't really have an option at 9 other than Reid. They've now got that.
Also, his nickname's the Pest. Do you really want to mess with him?
No.
I don't want to mess with him.
But my point being is Lockie Galvin is not a signing for now.
No, he's 19, isn't
he? Yeah, he's a signing for 2026 to 2036.
Yeah.
He's a 10-year signing.
Yeah, like what Dylan Brown was for the Nice.
Nice. There's going to be.
Forgot what team paid him all that money then for a second.
Yeah, and listen, they've signed him so long. Pay him overs now, but hope it's unders in 3 years when you go, actually, he's paying him $1 million and should be on 1.5, 1.6.
Yeah,
whatever.
until the halfback market explodes.
So, I think it's a great move by the Bulldogs.
It is. It's underhand.
Yeah.
Because he's only allowed to speak to clubs from November 1st for 2027.
I don't know how this works, though, because he very
Massive
clearly
release.
wanted out. Did he want out before the Bulldogs were interested?
Officially, he was released from West Tigers. Then he was approached by Bulldogs management and signed for them immediately. Officially. If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell to you.
You've loved a cliche this
I
episode.
have actually. I've been hitting all the buzzwords. I've hit so many cliches this episode.
Have you been sat down at home writing
No,
all the
I've
cliches
not.
out?
I've not. I just it just happened today. I hit all the cliches.
But what I mean is, we're talking a month ago. He wanted out. He wasn't happy with Benji's coaching.
No, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? This.
So when he starts saying that, if you're a club, you want first dibs on him. I'll tell you what. I bet Manly wish they'd got in on him.
I bet they tried. I bet
Fab-
Parramatta tried.
Yeah.
Well, I know Parramatta tried.
So it's an interesting one of you've sort of got to break the rules to even get a chance to sign this talent.
Yeah, it's a bit of bending the rules, isn't it? So. But
Well, I've never spoken to the guy.
I've
so-
never spoken to the guy.
Oh, Gus.
I've never spoken to him. Or his family. No, don't forget that bit. You never spoke to his family either.
Yeah, I never spoke to his
I never
family.
spoke to the guy or his family.
But yeah, last bit of news really before we sign off. The minute rule. The minute cap.
Oh, you did want to talk about it after all.
I didn't want to talk about it. You saw it on the list.
You used to always bring it up for about 3 weeks.
Because everyone keeps saying it, and it's not even an official rule.
No.
It was proposed, suggested, and whatever, but it's not been agreed by the clubs.
No.
So, and then you can't bring it in mid-season. So,
No, you can't bring a limit rule in mid-season. We spoke about that was that last week we talked about that?
yeah, we mentioned it, but it has been confirmed now that it's not a rule. And I just think that's crucial to mention, actually, this conversation around Lewis Martin's minutes at Hull.
Junior. Elliot Michella.
Liam Farrell to an
Liam
extent.
Farrell, yeah.
So it takes a little bit of pressure off them clubs, and we could sort of put that conversation behind us.
Yeah, good.
It's an interesting thing to see that December's played too many minutes, but it is what it is, and the rule's not there, so teams are going to play to it. Right, I think that wraps it up.
It does.
Considering this was meant to be a quick episode, we've talked a lot, haven't we?
Yeah. I've enjoyed it though.
I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed that.
No pressure of talking about Wigan. First
Exactly.
team.
Yeah, we don't talk about Wigan's men's team. I was going to talk about the 1985 Cup final. You know, because of the whole 40 years thing,
Yeah.
and it's one of my favourites.
Mm.
But maybe that's something for another time. We'll talk about the 1985 Cup final, which I seem to watch once a year.
Yeah, you know what? It might be worth doing that.
That's your homework.
You know what? Let's ask the listeners
This
their
is
favourite cup final or favourite grand final, whatever, and we'll look back at the game.
If you're still listening to this right now, first of all, why? Second of all, leave a comment on what your favourite Challenge Cup final ever is.
We'll go back, watch the game, tell you our thoughts.
Yeah. And your homework is to watch 1985 Cup final. And watch Tommy Luluai's dad score a double against Wigan. Good final.
Just Kenny to win it.
Brett Kenny, yeah.
Brett Kenny.
I mean, I brought up Luluai there, but it's Brett Kenny's final, let's be honest. I wanted to give the listeners something.
Sterling was silver, but Kenny was gold.
If you've never seen that final, you're just in for an absolute treat.
I remember.
Oh, sorry, to quote Alex Moot, you're in for an absolute.
I'm going to say this.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that when he scored that try? That were an absolute.
I remember, you know, when you're growing up and you like look at an old game and you go, Dad, who was such and such about it? I remember being about 8 and asking my dad who Brett Kenny was.
Oh, you asked your dad that question?
And
I'm surprised you're not still there.
the disgust in his eyes.
No, he wouldn't be disgusted.
Oh, no,
He would have been
no.
excited because he got a chance to speak to you about...
Nobody thought he'd failed as a father.
Oh, really?
Not ordering me knowing that.
When you were 6?
That was about 7, 8.
Yeah.
And then I can actually remember watching it on a DVD
Yeah.
and trying to rewind it to his 40 yard pass and
Yeah.
he's stepping on the
His contact pass.
just watch how he drifts on the outside here.
What about his warm-up? Is it just like not interested at all in warming up?
Yeah. Oh, what a player!
He's so smooth all day.
Just hands in the pockets.
Yeah. What's in his pockets now? That famous commentary.
Oh,
Yeah, Chico Ferguson stood up the winger.
Chico Ferguson.
Chico Ferguson in that game, flowed for just for that game, falling over just for that game. Yeah, wow. That's your homework, everybody. Watch that game.
While you mentioned Chico Ferguson, I've got to say this. I remember Bevan's first game for us.
Yeah.
I turned and going, oh, it's like Chico. And then giving that hand movement.
Yeah, it was like Chico. Yeah.
It was like Chico.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't know he'd go and do on what the rest of what he's done for the rest of his wing career so far.
we just thought he was going to be like a lightning winger who could play full back or had a good step on him.
Yeah, wow.
And now he's the best 6 in.
Good. Young Michael Ford. He was in the house with Kenny. Young Michael Ford.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Go and watch that game if you've not watched it. Honestly. One of the many great finals of Wigan's history.
Yep.
Right. Thank you for listening, Matty. Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
And we'll see you next week, hopefully, with another Wigan win, hopefully.